What's up, everybody? How are we all doing today? I'm great, which is good. Always a good start to the stream. It's cooling down a little bit, which is nice. I still have the fan on. I think I've gotten a bit used to having a bit of cold air blowing in my face as I'm doing the stream. So, yeah, I think I'm going to keep to that. My missus keeps saying to me, it's not even cold though, Craig, or warm. And I don't know, maybe my body temperature's a bit higher than hers. But either way, I'm having the fan on because it works. How are we? And because I bought them and I want to use them. You know, that kind of way. How are we all, ladies and gents? Nice to see you in. Look, a bit of a mixed bag tonight because there's conflicting reports, and you know, some people believe we're not going to sign players, some people believe we are. I'll go through it as always. We'll talk about the reliability of these stories, and we'll talk about anything else that you want to do in between. And of course, we will no doubt have to answer 50 United fans in the chat asking what I think of them signing Varane. So we'll go through it all, ladies and gentlemen. We'll go through it all. What's up, Uncle Craig, said Mr. Jury. How are we? I got a bit of good news today, actually. So my daughter is going to get her first vaccination jab on Wednesday, which is brilliant. So that means my wife will be fully vaccinated by August. My daughter should be fully vaccinated by the end of August. I'm already fully vaccinated. And my little man can't get vaccinated because he's too young. So you start to get to the point of, do we look at a holiday? Interesting, maybe, hopefully. Anybody out there with a nice place, luxurious place around Europe that they want to throw my way for a week or two, I'll happily rent it off you. Let me know, yeah. Hit me up if you do. And also today I got another bit of good news. A multinational PR company reached out to me, believe it or not, little me, and said would I be interested in doing a bit of an interview and a Q&A for their internal staff meeting, which is great. So yeah, gonna do that as well. So happy days. Things are looking good at this moment in time, ladies and gentlemen. JSC 9671 just had your second jab. Well done. I hope you're feeling good. How was the dentist? I'll be honest with you, Daniel, I jibbed it. I'll be completely honest with you, mate. I was still awake at 10 a.m. this morning, and yeah, I jibbed the dentist. I didn't go. I'll be honest with you. Must be alright if you're going on holiday. What do you mean must be alright if you're going on holiday? That's a very wide-ranging thing. What must be alright, mate? Me? I'm always alright, me. Fucking wonderful, me. I don't know what you mean must be alright. I don't know where to go with that, mate. I mean, like most people, I go on a holiday every year. No real shock to that one, is it? But yeah, anyway, I don't know. Maybe just try and be a bit nicer in your comments and less of a dickhead, and we'll get along just fine. Craig the Legend heard from Pie. No, I haven't. And look, again, Pieface has been so busy with a lot of stuff that he's been working on and doing over the past week or so. So, you know, I'm sure I'll hear back from him in due course. And I'm not going to push the guy. I know how busy he's been. But look, let's start off tonight with Chiesa. Let's have a little talk around this one, because Sky reported today that Liverpool have interest in the Juventus player, but that we've been priced out of a potential bid. Now, that's like me saying I've got interest in a brand new Rolls Royce Phantom, but I don't have the money for it. You know, we all have interest. I wouldn't mind shagging Mila Kunis, but the odds of that happening are slim to none. And I'd say my wife would even give me a pass on that one because she knows how unlikely it is. So I don't see anybody reporting that in the news out there. Craig fancies his chances of having a pop at Mila Kunis, but you know, it's pretty unlikely, isn't it? So I don't know where to go with this one. I mean, the bar you see on the screen there is what Connor views as the reliability of the sources. Now, if I was doing this, I would have Sky Sports far lower down in the red, because I think that they're one of the worst when it comes to transfer links and stories, and that they're way behind everybody else. So I don't know where Connor's making this so high on the green list of tiers, because that's what that means. I would have it completely the other way, because I don't think that we were ever realistically in for Chiesa. So, you know, I ask myself this, before the Euros, were we really talking up any of these Italian players and interested in moves to Liverpool? I don't remember any of them, to be honest with you. So he's had a great Euros. He's a Juventus player. He's a very good player. But look, £86 million, €100 million, give or take. So it's just nonsense. It drives me mad. I don't get it. Like, I'm sure that we have interest in Mbappe, Messi, Neymar, and every other footballer that's great around the world, but it means jack shit. They're just looking for any excuse to tie our name to any story for clicks, and it drives me mad. It really does drive me mad. We're not going to sign Chiesa. I'm sure we did look at him, but again, way out of our league price rise, so I don't understand that one. Philip said Saul to United. Not from what I've read. I believe Ndidi is more of a target for United than Saul, mate, from the latest things that I've been reading and seeing. Now, Saul, we know he's available. I mean, again, we'll... do I have a Saul image here now? No, I don't have one there. But look, on Saul, he could well end up in the Premier League, absolutely. And I'm not denying that United could be a club he goes to. I'm just saying that today, for me, what I've seen is that Ndidi is more the type of player that United would be looking at. Now, I'd have no problem with Saul coming to Liverpool. And what I would say is, and I'll move on to this a little bit later on in the stream, is don't get too panicky just yet. And I will explain why in more detail a little bit later on. He was priced at 10 million last year, said Chris. I know it's mad, isn't it, mate, what 1 year can do and one good year. Going from that price to the price that, you know, Juventus probably don't even want to do business at, let's say, at around 100 million euro. Sick of these sell to buy summers, Craig, said Adam. Okay, you know what, let's get straight into it, because I know it's frustrating a lot of you. So let's bring this up here right now. So we've got conflicting reports at the minute. So we have the likes of Melissa Reddy, who's again a very, very well respected journalist, somebody whose work I hold in high regard, saying that Liverpool are ready to move on signings. And then we have Carl Markham, who is a regular on the likes of the press box and LFC TV, certainly a very knowledgeable guy, saying that maybe he thinks that there's no more signings going to be made by Liverpool. So you can see conflicting reports there within the British media. So here's my take on this, and this isn't a dig at either side, because, you know, both are very good journalists in my opinion, and I've got nothing but respect for them. But I think, looking from the outside, and again, these guys would be far more clued up, but you can see even in the more clued up people, there's conflicting reports. One side suggests we're ready to move, one side thinks we're not going to make any more signings. I think the truth is simply this. We went into this window knowing that we had to move on fringe players for a couple of reasons. Firstly, financial reasons, of course. We needed to clear up the wage books a little bit, bring in some cash. But there's another really, really important reason that often gets glossed over when we're on Twitter or we're talking about transfers, and that is squad places. Because you can only have so many overseas squad players, and then you have to have a minimum amount of homegrown players or English players. So look at what we're looking to do. Let's say Origi, if he moves on, and if Shaqiri moves on, as an example, that's two overseas squad places, two valuable overseas squad places that will be freed up for Liverpool, because there's better value in the European market. So yes, you might get your Premier League tried and tested players in England, the likes of a Jared Bowen or whatever, but you're going to pay a premium. The value has always been in the German, the Spanish, the French, in those markets. So to me, it's no surprise that Liverpool have had a summer of trying to clear players off the wage books, and players that, if we didn't loan them or sell them on, would come back. You can see a nice new feature there as well. CJ Alvarez donated €2 to a super chat. So just to make sure I don't miss them, you'll see it pop up on the screen there now as well. So you guys will see when the super chat comes in. We've the best squad in the league, no panic needed, said CJ Alvarez. And thank you, mate. And I don't agree we have the best squad in the league. I would think that we're a little bit lagging on that, if I'm being entirely honest. We've got one of the best starting 11s, if not the best starting 11 in the league. But let's just move on a little bit to what I was saying. We need to free up squad places. So it's all very well and good us saying let's go out there and sign Saul, let's go out there and sign let me just throw another name at you. Let's go out there and sign, I'm trying to think of an overseas player who would bring in. Let's just say Chiesa as an example. Just I know we're not signing him, but just as an example. That needs two overseas squad places freed up, or what happens is we end up not registering somebody in our squad and paying them wages to just sit there and do nothing, or to go on loan somewhere else. So I actually think what Michael Edwards and what Liverpool have done is rather clever. If, and this is the important part, if it's followed up with a couple of signings that we expect. So I believe we'll get one or two more over the line. I think we'll get the midfielder and we'll get a wide forward. Now, I've also read stuff today that said that maybe we're not going to bring in a midfielder. I think that would be stupidity of the highest order to not replace the amount of minutes that Gini Wijnaldum was available for. And I know people will say, well, maybe Curtis Jones can step up. I've given my opinion on that before. To me, Curtis Jones filled the Lallana squad place. and I would like to see somebody else come in to fill Gini Wijnaldum's spot. We made this mistake by not filling Dejan Lovren's place when we thought we'd be fine at centre back, and look how that worked out last season. You know, we were scrambling to try and get a top 4 place at the end of the season, and thankfully we did it thanks to Alisson and some great performances by the lads. A little donation from a United fan. Thank you, Per Eric Klassen. You're very kind, mate. Really appreciate it. And thank you for watching and being in the chat, mate. Appreciate it. So where do you guys feel on there? How do you guys feel on this one? Because for me, I think what we're doing, it's really tough to not get frustrated, because I, like you, want us to do our business quick and early, get the players in, get them training with the first team, and have them ready for the first game of the season. But the transfer window doesn't close till 11 p.m. on the last day of August, so there is still plenty of time, although it is a dangerous game. I will be the first one to admit that. There's a bit of Russian roulette, for want of a better phrase, going on here with clubs around Europe, and we would be one of those, you know, waiting to see who's available, who isn't available, if Mbappe triggers moves. So I think it's sensible to strategically do what Michael Edwards and Liverpool have been doing in moving on players that don't have a future at the club and bringing in some money. So first and foremost, that part I have no issues with. I think what makes us all nervous is the idea that we could be sitting here at the start of the season, or with a week to go in the transfer window, still sweating over the arrival of a potential wide player or an attacking player and a midfielder. And that's when we need to start worrying. So for me, with 6 or 7 weeks of the window remaining, yes, in an ideal world, we'd want players in for the first game. No arguing about that one. And we know that our manager likes to get players in as early as possible, but sometimes you've got to play the cards that you're dealt. And this could be one of those scenarios where we're sitting here at the end of the window when other clubs are really up shit creek. And here's what I mean by that. United today agreed to deal to sign Varane for, I think, 36 million plus add-on, something like that. And I don't want to be the one that applauds United on here. I don't. But what have I been saying for ages? Now is the time for English clubs, Liverpool, Manchester City, Manchester United, Chelsea, Spurs, whomever, to step up and really stand on the neck of Real Madrid and Barcelona and give them a taste of their own medicine, because the financial might and the power and the money is in the Premier League at the minute. So I begrudgingly applaud United for what they did on the Varane stance, and I hope that us and other clubs are looking at the absolute mess that Madrid and Barcelona are in, particularly Barcelona, and looking to capitalise on that, because Barca are going to be frantically trying to free up players and money to make sure that they can get Messi, who hasn't yet signed that new deal and will not sign that new deal until he knows he can be registered. So I know it's frustrating, but this could end up, if everything works out as we hope as fans, a masterstroke. That's all I'm saying to you. It could work out that we're all sitting here the last day of August absolutely fuming and spitting venom. So I get that as well. I'm not naive enough to think that there isn't a downside to this, but I love the idea of really just, I'm going to say it, just shithousing the clubs that are in trouble financially and really applying pressure to them to try and get their star players or their assets off them at a really cheap price, because karma and payback is a bitch, and we've seen year after year after year of Real Madrid and their Galactico nonsense, and Barcelona and their overpaying for players that they can't afford and shouldn't have been buying because they didn't suit their systems and the way they wanted to play. And now those chickens have come home to roost, and they're scrambling to try and do everything that they can to stay as a big club. So I want English clubs to absolutely dance all over their heads from obviously a hypothetical perspective, and go in and cherry pick, and go in and put cheeky offers in, and go in and turn heads, and go in and destabilise the shit out of these clubs, because that's what we should be doing. Football isn't a nicey game. You want a competitive edge. Well, the Premier League clubs have that competitive edge now, because the money is in our league. The money is with Premier League clubs. So let's do a little jig all over Real Madrid and Barcelona's head and get some of their star players. Sound good? Are you with me on this so far? Would you have Odegaard for 30 million? Report saying he's unhappy at Real. Yes, I would have always had Martin Odegaard. It's no secret that when he moved there, Liverpool were looking at him, and he chose Real Madrid, and you know, he's had loan spells at the likes of Arsenal and Sociedad since. But yes, I would have Martin Odegaard. And see what I'm speaking about here, it's not just Liverpool. Yes, I will talk about Liverpool specific targets, but right now all Premier League clubs should be looking at Spain and going, payback's a bitch for all the stuff that we've had over the years with Real Madrid and Barcelona. And this is coming from somebody who Barcelona are my only other club that I give a shit about, but I still want Liverpool to put their knee on their throat and absolutely go for the prized assets. Look, here's another little bitch that knows absolutely nothing, saying Liverpool are in the mud. Mate, even if we don't sign a single player between now and the start of the season, I guarantee you we'll still be up there fighting for the title. So you can come on with your Liverpool are in the mud, ha ha ha, smiley face emoji, but trust me, mate, I know football, I know my club. Liverpool, even if we don't make signings, we'll still be right there fighting. So you can take your smart arse wise comments and ram them, fella, because they've no impact on me whatsoever. Do I think Elliott can become a good midfielder? Yes, I do. Of course, we all thought Harvey Elliott was going to come in and be a wide attacking player, and he could still do that. But again, the beauty of what Jurgen Klopp likes to have in his players is versatility, and we've seen Harvey Elliott linking up really well with Mo Salah. I keep talking about this down that right hand side, and look, Harvey Elliott can play anywhere. He can play in behind the front three, he can play across the front three, and you know, the future is bright for Harvey Elliott, and he's still a young developing footballer, so he shouldn't be pigeonholed into any one position just yet. So yeah, it's exciting, and I'm looking forward to seeing him. Any news on Jared Bowen? No, nothing new other than, you know, the valuation seems to be around the 30-35 million pound mark from what I've read. There is something interesting actually. Let me just bring this up because it kind of relates. So there are rumoured interest in Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, and this comes from the Express, and as you can see, Connor, who done the rating on this one, seems to believe more so that this is nonsense. This belongs on bullshit island rather than reality. But it's not the first time that I've heard Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain's name linked to West Ham in this window. Now, we've seen the experiment of Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain perhaps playing through the middle. Thank you, Mixed Magician, for your £5 super chat. Really appreciate that. He said, love the streams. I always listen to them while doing cardio. Also, although I think we need more signings, I feel we could do something good this year. Mate, as I just said to that guy a second ago, even if we don't do any business, which I want us to, don't get me wrong, I'm not apologising for us not doing business, I want us to do business, I, like you, think we'll be absolutely fine no matter what happens this season, because we're getting players back that missed a huge part of last season and integral parts of our squad, because we have the crowd back inside Anfield. So many other reasons as to why I think we have room to be optimistic. Now, in saying that, mate, I'm not naive enough to believe that United going out and getting Varane and Sancho, or Manchester City going out and getting Grealish and Kane, or Chelsea perhaps getting a striker. That absolutely makes our job harder. Of course it does, and it's why I want us to strike back as Liverpool fans. Mitchell Costello said owners are planning for life after Klopp already. They're taking their time and picking the right players. I'm not a big fan of the owners, but they mostly get this right. Klopp will be a part of this. Again, thank you for that input, Mitchell, and I think you've summed up how I and some others feel, mate. I wouldn't be their biggest fans either, but I would also say that they are astute businessmen, and you know what Jurgen Klopp himself has always said, mate, is that when he leaves the club, he wants to leave it in a stronger position than when he arrived. So yeah, I think you're right in that one. And just my thoughts. Cheers, Craig, with another super chat. Thank you, Mitchell. But let me just get back to the Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain thing for a second. Do I think he'll leave Liverpool in this window? No, I don't. Would I sell him if the right offer came in? Well, I'd consider it if it was the right offer, but if you look at it from the perspective of himself and his missus are expecting a child, he's settled, he's working his way back from an injury-riddled season, and he's looked quite sharp in pre-season, albeit, you know, he didn't have as much impact in the second game against Mainz as he did in the little cameo spell in that false nine role. So it's interesting. Now, from what I've read, they want a loan of Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, and I can't see anyway that Liverpool loan out Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. But, you know, Is it lazy journalism? Yes, I think so. Because of Liverpool's maybe interest in Jared Bowen, maybe somebody's putting two and two together and trying to envisage some type of a deal where one goes one direction, maybe a loan with an option to buy, and the other comes to Liverpool for X amount. So I don't think there's any truth to Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain to West Ham. But I'm also a bit confused as to, do I genuinely believe he'll have a big impact at Liverpool this season? Because I like Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain in every sense of the word. I like his personality, I like what he brings to our team, and I'm sure he's brilliant to have in and around the changing room and the club as well. But I would be lying if I said that the stop-start nature of his injuries hasn't been frustrating, because we've seen what he can do. You know, when Felipe Coutinho left, he was the fella that stepped up mostly, in my opinion, and really helped drive us on to the Champions League final that year. I know he was injured against Roma in the semis, but it's you know what he can do. So he's another good option to have, and I wouldn't be looking to sell him. I would rather we keep Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, because if we can keep him fit, you know, legs tiring last 15-20 minutes, with his direct running, with his ability to have a shot from distance, with his creativity as well, and his passing isn't too shabby, I think he's a good option to have off the bench. So I wouldn't be looking to sell Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain personally. Ox ain't going anywhere. Klopp and Pep Linders love him, said Mossy Kyo. I agree, Mossy. He seems a nice guy. I don't know who that's about. If it's Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, then yes, he does seem a really nice guy. Mick Wall said Mick Wall is the opposite. Mick Wall reckons that Oxlade-Chamberlain will go, which is a very interesting one, Mick. Happy to entertain both sides of this conversation, of course, because it's all hypothetical, really, isn't it? Because none of us know exactly what's going to happen. Victor, thank you, Victor Liang, thank you for the super chat, mate. Said, what's happened to Liverpool? Not much signing, and Man United are getting Varane, Sancho and possibly Jules Koundé. Liverpool need another midfielder. I've not seen anything. I could have just missed this now, Victor. United around Jules Koundé. I've seen Ndidi today, and I've seen Saul, of course, but nothing around another centre back in Jules Koundé. That would be one for me. That'd be one for the Bucks. I've explained it, mate. I think Liverpool are just clearing out what they can first, seeing what overseas squad places we can make available, and that may decide what transfer business we do, because it's no secret that particularly within the club they view the European based players, the German, French, Spanish, Italians or whoever, as more value than signing a British player or a Premier League proven player from a rival. That's fairly sensible. So in theory I understand what they're doing, and I guess I'm hopeful that it's executed properly, and there's still plenty of time left. I know we're all fixated with the opening game of the season, and we all, you know, have our views on that, but when you sign a player, you sign a player for 4 or 5 years. So as frustrating as it would be to have to start the season without a signing or two that we hope, if on August the 31st or the last day of August at 10:59 p.m. we're sitting here and the transfer window's about to slam shut, and we've done a couple of class pieces of business at the last minute because clubs really need to clear out their books financially, and Michael Edwards and Jurgen Klopp have gone in and pulled an absolute masterclass there and got us 2 bargains, I think we'd all be happy to wait, because our squad at the start of the season should do alright. You know, barring no major injuries between now and when the season starts, we should be good to go, and hopefully get off to a decent Premier League start. So I think there's logic to what they're doing. I do think we'll make some signings. I don't know who they are, and I won't lie to you about that, but what I would say is, yeah, look, it's frustrating to look around, see United doing their business, see Spurs getting a bit of business done, see other clubs getting a few people in the door, but, and I can't believe I'm saying this, because, you know, I'm I'm as frustrated with our owners as anybody, but I do trust our manager, I do trust Michael Edwards, and I guess I do trust the process in this window. That's where I am, genuinely. I don't want to. It'd be easy for me to come on here and whip up frustration in everybody, and, you know, rile people up, and, you know, put out headlines and thumbnails that bring people in anger, but that's not what I want to do. I want to be honest and genuine in the way I look at things, and the way I impact our fan base. If we sign an Origi replacement, I'd be happy. I won't lie to you, mate. That's one of the things I said to Connor earlier on. Is just like whatever happens in this transfer window, if we can just finally just draw a line under the whole Origi stuff, I'd be very happy as well. Kate said, instead of sending a super chat, you can become a member for $4.99 a month and get access to Discord, emojis, yeah, lots of other stuff, and maybe a few other bits and pieces in the upcoming season as well. We're working on a load of stuff behind the scenes right now. It's very, very busy for us, and I'm really excited. I can't wait for the season to start. Right, what else have we got to talk about today? Done that one. This one, yes, a bit of good news finally, which is 100% green. Van Dijk returning. So Jurgen Klopp has said that we may well see Big Verge get a few minutes against Hertha Berlin this Thursday, which, you know, I think that brings a smile to all of our faces. You know, all of us Liverpool fans. I mean, how we've missed the big man. It's been great seeing his roll back to recovery. It's been great seeing all the positive progress and all the videos he's made, and you know, the inspirational stuff he's put out there, and himself and Joe Gomez rehabilitating together and all. But at the end of the day, it all leads to one place, and that's Big Verge getting back on the pitch, and hopefully the sooner the better, although I understand why the club are being cautious. But you know, how great will it be if we finally get to see Big Verge back out there, even if it's just for 5-10 minutes at the end of the game to start the actual building up of match minutes in those legs. So I read a lovely little tweet from somebody. It was very simple, but just before I came on, that made me smile and made me happy, which was, I used to sit back and dream about the days of Liverpool having 4 centre backs like Van Dijk, Gomez, Konate and Matip, and do you know what? They're 4 pretty damn good centre backs to have at the club, so I'm not complaining either. Is Rafinha staying at Leeds? I believe so, yes. What's the story on Saul? Again, United and Liverpool, 2 strongest club linked there. I couldn't tell you where we'll end up. I mean, it looks like, as things stand, he's going to end up in the Premier League somewhere. Looks like at this moment in time it's United or Liverpool, but we also know that after signing Rodrigo de Paul, Atleti are willing to sell Saul for about 45 million euro, maybe something like that. They'll say higher, they'll say about 50, but I've always been told that it's about 5 million more than they paid for Rodrigo de Paul. To be honest, if United get a top class central defensive mid, they'll have a better squad than us. Look, United have a good squad. I'm not going to sit here and say otherwise. You know, they've spent 1.1 billion or something like that since they've last won the league. So you would expect them to have eventually built themselves up a good squad. But, and again, I feel like people are going to take this as me being insulting towards United, and in some ways, look, yeah, I'm a Liverpool fan, I like to have a little dig, but whatever about their squad, which is good, they don't have Jurgen Klopp. That's one thing I will say. So whatever we think about squads and all this, it's all great, but at the end of the day, there's nobody I would replace Liverpool's manager with. Nobody. And I mean that sincerely. Nobody. There isn't a manager in the world right now that I would swap Jurgen Klopp for. None. Not to say that different managers are better or worse. You know, he's just the right fit for our club. So that's where I think we have a little edge, is our manager. We have an aging squad. We don't really, though. Like, I get where you're coming from. And look, you look at the likes of Firmino, Sadio Mane, Mohamed Salah, all 29 years of age. Van Dijk, what is he now, 27 years of age, something like that, 27, 28. Maybe he's 29, I don't know. He's certainly in his mid to late 20s. Then you look at Jordan Henderson and Thiago, but then I can argue that and look at Queevy and Kelleher, and look at Curtis Jones, and look at Connor Bradley, and look at Muzialowski, and look at Harvey Elliott, and you know, there are young players there too. Look at Diogo Jota's 25, you look at Trent Alexander-Arnold, Andy Robertson. We have some players who are getting on in age, definitely, but I wouldn't go as far as to say we're Dad's Army or anything like that. And look, the club are aware of this, which was one of the reasons why Genie would have moved on, as an example, and is one of the reasons why we have this Henderson situation at the minute. Now, I'm not saying they're right or wrong, but I'm just saying they are certainly aware of the age of some of the areas in our squad, and that's why we're seeing what we're seeing now. And it might be frustrating, but in the long term, who knows? It could be right, it could be wrong. VVD's 30. There you go, 30. So he's going to play till he's 35 easily, isn't he? So, Van Dijk will definitely have another 4 or 5 years left in him. He's basically missed the season anyway, so we can call him 29. Let's just call him 29, because he didn't have last season, so he didn't get those minutes in his legs. So, yeah, I mean, and again, you look at James Milner, you look at the likes of even Sergio Ramos, who I despise beyond belief, but you look at Sergio Ramos and he's playing well into his mid to late 30s. You look at Cristiano Ronaldo. If you look after yourself and take care of yourself throughout your career, which the modern footballer does, unless his name's Eden Hazard, wink wink nudge nudge, any excuse for me to put the boot in there, yeah, generally players are looking after themselves, not coming back from pre-season in bad shape. We've seen Hendo and others in pre-season, even on the holidays, working out. Mohamed Salah, another prime example. Are you saying that Klopp can win with a crap team? No. I'm just not saying we have a shit team. So, if anybody, yourself included, Jens, or any United fans or anyone like that, looks at Liverpool as a team and thinks we're shite, then I don't know what to say, mate, because our first 11 is as good as any first 11 in the world, in my opinion. So I think no matter what happens, we're going to be there or thereabouts this year. So no, I'm not saying Klopp can do it with a shite squad, but what I'm saying is he's the perfect fit for our football club, like I've always said. Now, I'll come back to you with a question, mate. Can you honestly, any United fan that's in the chat right now, this is a sincere question, can you honestly say to me that there isn't a manager in the world right now that you would swap Ole Gunnar Solskjaer for, or you wouldn't swap Ole Gunnar Solskjaer for? Because I can honestly say that about Jurgen Klopp. Now, I can talk about our owners, that's a completely different conversation. I can talk about the state of our squad, again, that's a different situation. But honestly, without any doubt, I can look into the camera and say I wouldn't swap Klopp for anybody at Liverpool. And that's a position that I very rarely had in my life as a Liverpool fan. I've very rarely been able to say I wouldn't swap our manager for anyone else in the world right now. So would you say that? Would Arsenal fans say that? I mean, fair enough, City fans might say it because they've got Pep there, and although he hasn't won the Champions League, they've won a lot. Chelsea fans, no doubt, are absolutely delighted with Tuchel because he's got them a Champions League, and has them moving in the right direction, has them with a very clear identity of the way that they play football. Liz Golden said, can we discuss Salah's smile at training? I love that, man. Always happy to have a bit of happy Mohamed Salah propaganda, Liz, on the stream. Always. I mean, who doesn't love a bit of Mo smiling? I know I do. Right, let me go through some of your comments. Let me just get... No, I'm leaving Big Verge up on the screen because he makes me happy. At the minute, I wouldn't swap Ollie for anybody, said Julian Jakobsen. Okay. Okay. Happy to hear your opinion, mate. Leo said, I am a United fan and I would swap Ollie. Thoughts on the Shaqiri situation? I'll get to that in a minute, Addison. I have quotes and stuff from Shaqiri to go through. No problem, mate. R2 said he would take Zidane for Ollie. Steve, a Liverpool fan, said we actually have the best manager in the world. Again, I'm just trying to be fair here and read a balance of comments. Man United look like a good squad. Absolutely. No argument there whatsoever. United have definitely strengthened. Klopp is way better than Pep. Again, I would agree with you on that, mate, which is why I said I wouldn't swap my manager for anyone. Jens said I wouldn't swap Ollie for anyone right now. See, how do I say this without I sound like a dickhead? I don't believe you, but I believe that you want to believe it, if that makes sense. So I believe that you have a lot of optimism in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and you can see that he's trying to put a footballing identity back in the way Manchester United play football. So I get that side of where you're coming from, mate, and I think you genuinely feel that way. But honestly, if, let's say, a Nagelsmann, any top tier manager right now, somebody who could really come in, with Champions League winning experience, a background in... I know Nagelsmann doesn't have Champions League winning experience, by the way. I'm just talking about he's a very good young up and coming manager who's just moved to Bayern. I don't know if I don't know if it's blind loyalty there or if you're being rational. But then again, mate, I suppose to be fair to you, we're not supposed to be rational as football fans, are we? We're supposed to let our hearts rule our head a lot of the time, and that's part of the fun, isn't it? Craig, did you see Mane liking that post? Yes, and I wanted to get onto that actually. So this is the post that you're talking about. So Sadio Mane on Instagram, and this one obviously you can see was posted by Liverpool Goals. I always like to give credit, which is why we didn't crop them out of it. So they put up a post saying, "Come on, do something." You know the old, you've seen it loads of times, the stick poking, in this case Liverpool crest. But if you look down underneath, it was liked by Sadio Mane official, and it is the real account. So I don't know what that means. I genuinely don't know what it means. Is it Sadio being a bit jovial? Is it Sadio being a little bit annoyed, saying, "Yeah, come on, hurry up and do something"? Or I don't know. I don't know what to read from it. I don't. But what we do know is he did like it. So yeah, I'm lost on this one. I mean, I love a bit of shithousery at the best of times, so I'm genuinely a little bit confused as to where to go with this one, but it has been doing the rounds on social media today, and he did like it, so maybe Sadio feels like the rest of us, and hurry up and get something done. Hurry up and get a signing over the line. Yeah, it's mad. I honestly don't know where else to go with that, because how can I rationalise somebody else's liking of a post? Yeah, I like to feel that he feels like the rest of us and he wants the squad to be as strong as possible, and maybe he knows something that we don't know. I don't know, maybe there's something around the corner, or maybe there's not, and that's why he's frustrated. This is what makes it all so beautiful. None of us know. Honest opinion on Varane signing for United. Look, he's a good signing, he's a good player. I won't not admit that. Somebody asked me about this yesterday, and I said, look, sometimes it's the right fit for the right club. So I'm very happy that Liverpool signed Ibrahima Konate, because I look at the mixture of youth in himself and Gomez, who's still a relatively young centre-back, and then the experience in Virgil van Dijk and Joel Matip, and then the youngsters that we have with Billy Comedio, Sepp van den Berg, who's out on loan, Reece Williams, and a couple of other young guys. So sometimes it's just about a right fit for the club. And if United look at their centre-back pairing now of Varane and Maguire, who I assume are going to be the first choice, you would absolutely say that is an experienced, good centre-half pairing, and I won't argue with that. But I also look at our signing of Konate, and I see he's not the finished product. I'll be the first one to admit that, but I'm very excited to see what he will do alongside a more experienced Van Dijk or Matip or with Gomez. So I'll admit it's a great signing, but it doesn't worry me from my perspective as a Liverpool fan, because we've also made a signing in that area that I'm very happy with. Andres Kopang, thank you, mate, for your super chat. Very kind of you. I think it's way too long since Liverpool made a huge signing. I don't want us to spend lots of billions, but seeing an example of United bringing in Sancho Varane makes me kind of jealous. I get where you're coming from, Andreas. Now let me flip that on its head, and again, United has spent 1.1 billion and haven't won a league title since Sir Alex Ferguson has left. In that time, we have spent a lot less and won a Champions League, a Club World Cup, a Premier League, and a Super Cup. So they are playing catch up. People will tell me they finished ahead of us in the league last year, and of course they did, I won't deny that. But it was a horrendous season for us, and there's no excuse for that. I'm not going to put a but after that. We had a terrible season. I don't believe in making the centre-back excuses and all. The league table doesn't lie. So I'm alright. I'm alright, mate, about this. And would I like to see us make a huge signing? Yes, of course. But I think we will make that huge signing in the name of Jude Bellingham next summer. That's genuinely how I feel. Anything happening with Tielemans? Again, all we know, Mark, is what's being reported, buddy, that he has a contract offer from Leicester on the table. If he chooses to sign that or not, I can't say. There's been reports to say that he's not against the idea of a move to Liverpool, but then again, I don't know if Liverpool are willing to pay the kind of money that would take to maybe get Youri Tielemans out of Leicester, if there's a number. Bernadette, thank you for the super chat. Said Craig, everyone assumes FSG isn't backing Klopp, but they chose Klopp for his way of improving players. Klopp might be pulling the strings on transfers. Yes, some good points made there, Bernadette. I would put myself in the camp of somebody who thinks that the owners aren't backing the manager enough, but I would also agree with the second part of what you've said, that he speaks himself, Jurgen Klopp, about a coach's job being to make players better, which is very true. You know, whether you've got a director of football that's making the transfers, or you've got a committee that's making the transfers, your coach, whether it be coach or manager, the job is to improve players that are there as well. And we look around and we can see a lot of improvement in a lot of players because of the work that Pep Linders and Jurgen Klopp and the rest of the coaches have done at Liverpool. So it's a good point, Bernadette. But I'd be lying to you if I didn't feel that at times I get a hint of frustration from Klopp about certain things. But he did know what he was getting into. He didn't. I feel that he did know what he was walking into, particularly when he signed the second contract. So, or the newest contract, I should say. But yeah, it's a good point. It's a fair point. Do I want me to donate, mate? I don't give a shit if you donate or not. I'm not here for the money end of this. I'm here for the fun end of it, and interacting with people and having a laugh is the part of this I enjoy the most. When is Jack back on? We are recording an Anfield Agenda podcast tomorrow. So myself, Steve Bland and Jack Gill will be recording something tomorrow night, which will be going out. I don't know if it's Wednesday that it's going to go out, but we are recording it tomorrow night. What else am I doing? Dave has a party from Talking Wolves. I'll be recording with him on Wednesday at 7. Then Craig Station, I'm going to be recording my first interview with Al Foran, who's an impressionist. You've probably seen a lot of his McGregor stuff and stuff like that. Recording with Al on Wednesday. Hoping to get one more Anfield Agenda, or excuse me, Craig Station interview done before the end of the week. And then we'll put them two out at the start of next week. So loads of stuff coming up. And of course, we've got the watch along on Thursday as well. So yeah, and the One Football weekly news video will be coming out on Thursday. So loads and loads of stuff ahead. And again, I just want to say thank you to the PR company today who reached out to me. It's a multinational PR company who have a base in Dublin that do an internal Q&A and interview session, and they've had some really esteemed journalists and people on before, and why they want little old me to go there and do a 40-minute interview and a 20-minute Q&A session with their staff is humbling, and something I'm very much looking forward to. So yeah, thank you. I'll give more details as and when it happens, but this is a big company that work with some huge brands around the world, and for them to invite me to tell my story about starting from the bottom, now we here kind of thing. Yeah, I'm very proud. And that's the type of stuff I love doing, by the way. I love doing more, I won't say community stuff, but I do want to do more community stuff down the line about showing, you know, for instance, I have a teenage daughter, so I want to show, or maybe set up a workshop that helps show youngsters that the days of the, you know, go to school, go to college, 9-to-5 jobs, there are other options out there. You can make money in new media. You can make money by turning yourself into a brand, or turning your hobby into a job. And I think particularly in Ireland we've been very slow about encouraging a lot of talent and a lot of YouTubers. I'm so proud to see so many great young Irish YouTubers coming up, and obviously we had Jacksepticeye and people that have gone before and done great stuff, huge stuff, but I think as a country Ireland is a little bit behind. So to see companies reaching across like this and inviting YouTubers or bald idiots like me to come and have a chat, I mean, I'm very proud. Craig Station vid should be part of a live show. Some of them will be, Mick, but some of them are going to require post-production editing. So I don't know if Craig Station should be all live, Mick, to be honest with you, because it's two different markets and two different ways of making content that I want to test myself out in as well. Like, my end goal has always been a podcast, like a Jack May Happy Hour, a Joe Rogan, something along those kind of lines, while still doing football content. But I'm an inquisitive person, and I want to speak to people that I find interesting and that I find funny and that I find have a good story or can help kick down divides or can bring people together, you know, this kind of stuff. So call me a bit of a hippie or a bit of an old romantic at heart, mate, but yeah, that's kind of the way I ideally like my life to go. What's going on with Ronaldo? I don't know. I get the feeling that it's a bit quiet on him. I think, again, this is just my 2 cents on it. I think Barca want him, and I think he might be holding off to see if Barca can clear out enough players and free up enough space in their wage budget to actually go and bring him in. So I genuinely don't know, and I don't know if Liverpool are still interested or if that interest has faded. But again, a lot of stuff will depend on how the window finishes and what other clubs do and how much financial pressure they're under, which is why I think we could pull a masterstroke here if we hold off. And I would say, while we're talking about masterstrokes, I said it at the very start, I think the business United did with Varane is clever because we know that the Spanish clubs are under pressure, and I want more English clubs, of course Liverpool, to be putting the pressure on these clubs and to be trying to bring in their talent at a knockdown rate. Mr. Vlasic said, "Hi Craig, hope you and the family are well. What do you think about Leon Bailey as an option for us? Also, thanks for the great content this year, and it's a great community to be a part of." That's so lovely, mate. Thank you, and it's lovely to have you as part of our community, and the community aspect of this is the most important part of it all to me. Leon Bailey, if I'm not mistaken, was very strongly linked to Aston Villa recently, which I think it was Villa. Now I'm open to being corrected on that one. So he's been at Leverkusen for a fair while now, Leon Bailey, and I've seen bits and pieces of him. I've tuned in to watch some of the games and he's been on the bench. I've tuned in other times and he's played well, and he seemed to, when I watched, have a good record of coming off the bench to impact games. So I don't know if he'd be consistent enough for Liverpool. He's kind of in that bracket of player that I've known about for a few years, but no big club has really gone in for him yet. So I wouldn't want him at Liverpool, but I'm sure I'd seen him linked to Villa or somewhere. Would I take Luis Diaz from Porto? There's a few decent players at Porto. I'd rather we went in and tried to get the guy who took Fernandez's place at Sporting Lisbon. What's his name again? Goncalves? Pedro Goncalves, or however that's pronounced. He looks a good talent. Somebody asked me about Pie Face as well there. Where was it? Is Pie coming on Craig Station? Hopefully. I mean, yeah, in theory, yes. We've messaged back and forth and it's something he's open to doing, but you know, like all of these things, it comes down to availability, and I'm, you know, just going to wait till he has a bit of free time and hopefully get something done then, because as I'm sure you've seen, he's a very busy lad at the PDC and at the Clash of the Creators and with all his own content as well. So hopefully we get that one sorted soon. If not for this channel, what would I be doing? I would probably be in a lot worse of a place mentally. Do you know what, mate? I don't even want to think what I would be doing if I wasn't doing this. And I only mean that from just a life perspective, because during lockdown, this channel, this community, you crazy SOBs out there, you literally dragged me along with you. So the amount of people that come on and say thanks for the streams, I wouldn't have gotten through lockdown on a personal level without being able to come on every night and chat with you guys. I would have gone stir crazy. So, you know, we're all in this shit together, as I keep saying, and I genuinely mean it. We are in this together. Now, when it comes time to make money from it down the line, I'm taking all of that, so you can all kiss my ass. But sorry, but from a point of view of thanking me around, there's never any need to. It's an absolute pleasure, and I should be thanking you guys over and over again. Nikhil said drugs. Well, you assume that. Well, I'll leave it there. Mate. Don't want to get myself in any trouble. Is Shaqiri leaving this season? Yes, we did say we talk about Shaqiri, didn't we? So, Shaqiri, here we go. So, Shaqiri has been speaking himself actually on his future, and I have the quotes here. He was speaking to Corriere dello Sport, and this was via Football Italia. Fortunately, football has helped me achieve many of my dreams. I was lucky enough to play with great teams and to win many titles. Who knows, maybe I could get something even with the Swiss national team. My contract with Liverpool expires in 2022. In 2018 I signed a 4-year deal. The important thing is at this moment in my career is to be able to play regularly, but that hasn't always been the case in the last 3 seasons. This is why I told Liverpool that I feel ready for a new challenge. Now, I've been telling you guys for ages that this has been on the cards, and I've been shouted down by some people and called an idiot and told that Shaqiri's going nowhere and the club loves him and all of this stuff, but I've known for a long time that Shaqiri and the club are willing to part ways. The important thing at this moment in my career is to be able to play regularly, yada yada. This is why I told Liverpool I feel ready for a new challenge. They accepted my wish and will seriously consider the offers that will come. They will not stop me. I'm only 29 years old. I've played in some of the best leagues in Europe and I would like to continue being a part of them. I'm not yet thinking about the end of my career. It's a future I imagine far away. We'll see what destiny has in store for me. So again, no shocks there. You know, he doesn't feel he's playing enough football and wants to play more football. Sound. I don't see any rational person having any issues with that. If he feels he wants to move on and said that to the club and the club get an offer that they're happy with, I think everybody benefits. We free up a place in the squad. Shaqiri gets to move somewhere else. We free up some money and bring in somebody who hopefully will have a bit more of an impact than he's had, because there's been moments where Shaqiri has been very good, very bright, has impacted games, but unfortunately there's more often than not been times where he's been unable to get into a rhythm because of knocks and strains and muscles and all this type of stuff. So yeah, I think get 10-12 million from, and again that'll free up an overseas squad place that could see us go out there and get somebody else. So again, all this stuff's starting to come together now bit by bit as the window evolves. Jovan, thank you very much, Jovan Paracic, for the super chat, mate. You're very kind. Is the audio off, mate? No, it's absolutely fine. I can see the audio bar there, mate, and it's moving along. Hello, Techers. How are you, mate? Welcome in. Also, what of Musialowski? Has he been promoted yet? So Musialowski signed a new contract recently, and the plan for him is that he will go from the under-18s up to the under-23s this season. Now, he's still technically able to play for the under-18s, but the next step in his progression is to the 23s. And also, young Conor Bradley signed a new deal at the club today, so we all know that Nico Williams has perhaps let it be known to the club that if the right offer comes in, he'd like to consider moving on to get more first team football. And we've also been told for a while now that Conor Bradley is somebody who the club rate very highly and see as being able to come in and be back up to Trent at right back, as well as having Joe Gomez as cover there if needed be. Now, I have to say, and I said this at the time, originally I was very sceptical about this and I was very worried, but I read an excellent piece from Caoimhe O'Neill in The Athletic around Conor Bradley, and it put my mind at ease. And having since then watched more of his stuff and looked into him more, I can see why Jurgen Klopp and the club have the belief in the kid. So congratulations to Conor Bradley on signing a new deal, and very much looking forward to seeing what his future has at the club, and hopefully it's a bright one. So, you know, another positive there, another good youngster committing to the club. Any news on that kid from Newcastle? Again, not that I've seen today. So 16-year-old Bobby Clark is the guy's name, son of Lee Clark, former Newcastle great. And Newcastle are apparently making a last-ditch attempt to try and keep him there, but it's believed that Liverpool think that they're just about to get the deal over the line and sign him, who is another really, really good young player. And again, I'll get Jack Gill on to do a roundup of all the underage player stuff, because he's far more clued in on this than I am. So certainly ask him about that in the podcast tomorrow night. Right, look, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to go off and get my fat ass a pizza because it's takeaway day here in the Holden household, and pizza is calling me, so I'm going to head off into the night and get that done. Tomorrow we'll be recording the Anfield Agenda podcast. I'll be live at the Late Night Agenda as always. Tuesday I'll be recording with Dave as a party of Talking Wolves. We'll be talking around Pedro Neto, Adama Traore. We'll be checking up on Keanu Hoover and see how he's getting along there at Wolves. And yeah, lots of stuff coming up this week. So again, hit that subscribe button, drop a like on the video. You can become a member with the link at the top of the live chat or in the description as well for $4.99 a month. Get over and subscribe to Craig Station and Anfield Agenda Extra. But most importantly, have yourselves a lovely evening. Thank you for giving up some of your time to be here with little old me.